Hello everyone, welcome to Teacher Handy's channel. For today's tutorial, I will discuss about inverse variation. Our objectives are, first, illustrate situations that involves inverse variations. Second, write equations of inverse variation. Third, find the constant of variations. And fourth, find the unknown variables. So let us have first example of inverse variations. Inverse of variation is commonly found in this situation in which you are about to build something and a worker is needed to finish the given task. So for example, the number of days required to build the bridge varies inversely to the number of workers. As the number of workers increases, the number of days required to build the bridge would decrease, while if the number of workers decreases, then the number of days to finish this bridge will increases. So that is one example of inverse variation. So what is inverse variation? Inverse variation means a situation produces pairs of numbers whose product is constant. The statements y varies inversely as x, y is inversely proportional to x, translate to y is equal to k over x. So please remember this equation since this will be the equation of inverse variation, where k is the constant of variation. So to find the constant of variation, use the formula k is equal to the product of x and y. For quantities x and y, an increase in x causes a decrease in y. Similarly, a decrease in x causes an increase in y. So that is the difference between direct variation and inverse variation. So in direct variation, if x increases, y also increases. If x decreases, y also decreases. So while in inverse variation, if x increases, y decreases. Or if x decreases, y increases. So let us have this activity. First, express the following statement as equation of variation using k as constant. So let us have number 1. F varies inversely as g. So for this statement, the equation will be f is equal to k over g, in which the first variable should be at the left side of your equal sign, and the second variable given in a statement should be the denominator, in which the constant will be your numerator. So please remember that for the equation of inverse variation. So let us have number 2. The length L of a rectangular field varies inversely as its width W. So the equation for this one will be L is equal to K over W. So again, from here, our first variable is letter L, so it should be at the left side of our equal sign, and W as your denominator since it is the second variable in our statement. So let us have number 3. The acceleration A of a car is inversely proportional to its mass m. So since our first variable is a, while the second variable is m, then our equation will be a is equal to k all over m. So that is how we write its statements that involve inverse variation. Let us have another activity. Which of the following table expresses inverse variation? Is it letter A or is it letter B? Since we know that the constant of a given inverse variation is equal to the product of your x and y, then from our table, we just simply multiply the values of x and y. So let us have the first one. Let's multiply 2 times 12 for the value of x and y. For the second one, let us multiply the value of x here and the value of y. So we have 3 times. And for the last one, we have 4 times 6. After getting the values of x and y, let us now multiply. 2 times 12 is equal to 24. 3 times 8 is equal to 24. And 4 times 6 is equal to 24. Therefore, their constant is equal to 24, meaning this table of values is a table of inverse variation. So let us have the second one. Given x is equal to 6, 7, and 8, while y is equal to 7, 5, and 3, let us find the constant to determine whether this one is an inverse variation or not. Let us have the first one. So let's say that our k is equal to the product of x and y. Therefore, for our first column, we have 6 times 7, followed by 7 times 5, and last one is 8 times 3. And 6 times 7 is equal to 42. 7 times 5 is equal to 35. And 8 times 3 is equal to 24. So, since the constant here are dissimilar, then this one is not an inverse variation. So, take note that the given table or a given graph or a given statement can only be an inverse variation if their constant are similar. Okay, so let us have another activity. Given that y varies inversely as x, using the table of values, determine the constant of variation and the equation of variation. So our task is to find the constant and equation of the inverse variation. So let us start with finding the constant. Since you know from our previous activity that constant is equal to the product of x and y. So let's start with the first one. We have 3 times 20, followed by 5 times 12, 12 times 5, and 15 times 4. In which 3 times 20 is equal to 60. 5 times 12 is equal to 60. 12 times 5 is equal to 60. And 15 times 4 is equal to 60. And that is the constant of variation of this table of values. So let us have now the equation of variation. So from the given facts, it says that y varies inversely as x. And we know that in this statement, our equation will be y is equal to k over x. And since we know the value of our constant, just substitute 60 to our k. Therefore, the equation will be y is equal to 60 over x. And this one is the equation of variation. So that's it. Let us try another one. Same, we need to find the constant and equation of variation given this table of values. So, let us find the constant first by multiplying x and y. Therefore, for the first one, we have 1 times 2, followed by 2 times 1. Next, 3 times 2 thirds. And last one, 4 times 1 half. And 1 times 2 is equal to 2. 2 times 1 is equal to 2. 3 times 2 thirds is equal to 2 as well. And 4 times 1 half is equal to 2 as well. Therefore, our constant of variation is equal to 2. Now, let us find the equation of variation. Again, from our given facts, it says that y varies inversely as x. So, meaning that one is equal to y is equal to k over x, in which our k should be equal to 2. So, by substituting 2 to our k, the equation will be y is equal to 2 over x. And that is the equation of variation. So, we are done finding the constant and the equation of variation of the given table of values. So, let us have our next activity. Let us find the constant of variation and equation of variation using the graph of inverse variation. Remember that the graph of inverse variation is hyperbola or smooth curve. Unlike in direct variation, it is a straight line that passes through the points 0, 0 or the origin. So the graph of inverse variation will not pass through the origin 0, 0, or it will not intersect to the y-axis or the x-axis. So again, the graph of inverse variation is hyperbola. So let us have the constant and equation of this graph. So, the same with direct variation, we just need one point from this graph. So, it's up to you which point you want to use in finding the constant and equation. For as long as you will use the equation y versus x, or y is equal to k over x, in which the constant will be equal to the product of x and y. So from here, I will be picking 0.28. So 2 will be your x values and 8 for the y values. Therefore, our constant will be k is equal to 2 times 8. And 2 times 8 is equal to 16. And that is the constant of our variation. So let us move on with the equation of variation. Given this equation, y is equal to k over x, let's substitute 16 to our k. Therefore, the equation of variation will be y is equal to 16 over x. So that is the constant and equation of this graph. So let us have the second one. Given this graph, let us determine the constant and equation of variation. So from I'll be picking one point, but for now I'll be choosing points to 6. So from the statement y varies inversely as x, our equation will be y is equal to k over x, in which constant is equal to x times 1. So since I picked 0.26, then I will substitute this one to our x and y. Therefore, our k will be 2 times 6. And 2 times 6 is equal to 12. And that is the constant of variation. Next, so to find the equation of variation, let us substitute 12 to our equation here. So therefore, the equation of variation will be y is equal to 12 all over x. So that is how to find the constant and equation of variation using its graph. So let us have another activity. Solve for the indicated variable in each of the following. So number 1. If r varies inversely as s and r is equal to 100, when s is equal to 27, find r when s is equal to 45. So remember that our task is to find the value of r when s is equal to 45. So to find that, let us find first the constant of variation using this statement. So it says that r varies inversely as s. Therefore, the equation will be r is equal to k all over s. So in which the value of k will be r times s. So our constant here is equal to r, in which r is equal to 100, times s, in which s is equal to 27. Therefore, our k will be 100 times 27, in which this one is equal to 2,700. And that is the value of your constant. Now, let us find the value of r, in which s is equal to 45. So, using the initial equation, r is equal to k all over s, let us substitute the value of k that we obtained here and the new value of s for our second statement. Therefore, we have r is equal to 2,700 divided by 45. And 2,700 divided by 45 is equal to 60. And that is the value of our r. Let us have another example. If w varies inversely as y and w is equal to 2, when y is equal to 3, find w when y is equal to 6. So this one is the same with example number 1. You just need to find the equation of variation and the constant of variation. So since it says here that w varies inversely as y, then the equation will be w is equal to k all over y, in which k will be the product of your two variables, which is w and y. To find the constant, let us substitute the value of w and the value of y. Therefore, our constant will be 2 times 3. And 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Since we know the constant of this equation, let us now find w when y is equal to 6. We will be using this equation. Let us substitute the value of k that we obtained and the new value of y. Therefore, we have here w is equal to 6 for the constant and 6 for the value of y. And 6 divided by 6 will be equal to 1. And that is the value of w. Okay? So let us have another example. Number 3. If p varies inversely as q and p is equal to negative 2 when q is equal to negative 8, find q when p is equal to 2. So it says here that p varies inversely as q. Therefore, our initial statement will be p is equal to k over q, in which the constant is equal to the product of the two variables p and q. So let us find first the constant by substituting negative 2 to our p and negative 8 to our q. Therefore, constant is equal to negative 2 times negative 8, which is equal to positive 16. So let us substitute 16 to our equation and the new value of 2 to our p to find q. Therefore, we have here 2 is equal to 16 all over q. Again, 2 came from the value of p here, and 16 came from the value of k. And q will be the missing number. To eliminate the denominator here, let us multiply both sides by q, in which this one will be eliminated. Therefore, the remaining equation will be 2q from 2 times q is equal to 16. So, to isolate q here, let us divide both sides by positive 2, in which q will be equal to 8 from 16 divided by 2. And this is the missing number. So, let us have our last example. If A varies inversely as B and A is equal to 12 when B is equal to 8, find B when A is equal to 16. So again, from here we have the equation A varies inversely as B, which is equal to A is equal to K over B, in which K will be equal to the product of A and B. So to find the value of K, let us substitute 12 to our A and 8 to our B. So we have K is equal to 12 times 8, in which 12 times 8 is equal to 96. Now, to find the value of B, let us substitute A to our equation and the value of K that we obtained to our equation as well. Therefore, we have here 16 is equal to 96 for the constant all over B. So, to eliminate the denominator here, let us multiply both sides by B, in which the variable at your right side will be eliminated. Therefore, we have 16 times B is equal to 16B, which is equal to 96. To isolate B here, let us divide both sides by 16. Therefore, the value of B is equal to positive 6, and this is the missing number. So that is how we deal with inverse variation. That's it for our tutorial. Thank you for watching. See you again in my next video. Bye!